Today I am going to talk to Christine Walker. She is a career therapist. As a parent. She's joined because, a lot of parents, of course, have all these doubts and fears about it. Because it's a big thing when you have kids. So hi, there you are.
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
You too. Thank you for inviting me.
And first of all, I take my hat off to you because I read you are a working mom, of course, of 4.
I am. It's a lot. I will say that my kids are a little bit older, so 3 of them are out of the house, so I don't have as many logistical challenges, but they're always your kids. You always need to engage. They always have needs, so yeah.
Yeah, because now I have 2 daughters, and I really sometimes think it's very tricky because I started my coaching business as I was pregnant with the first one. I mean, great timing. Yeah, but it worked out. But still, it's like, 4, wow, how must it be? But it must be nice, when they're out the house. Of course, there will always be things, but at least they're older. Yeah.
Yes,
Makes
it's
a
different
difference.
kinds of complications, right? And when kids are little and they need you physically there to be
Yes.
all of the time, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe you can just introduce yourself to my audience, and then I'll introduce myself to your audience afterwards.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a career therapist. This is actually a second career for me. And I started by being a career change coach. Well, if I go back farther, I started as a high school teacher and then I transitioned. Yep. But career changes are kind of my family legacy. Everybody in my family changes careers in the middle of their career. And my mom, my dad, my sisters, we all do it. And so it felt like a really natural thing for me to do. I kind of got stuck trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. I needed more. I knew I needed a change, but I also needed more help than I had, which is why I think that I was drawn to this career.
Yeah, that's interesting because unlike most coaches, you're also really in therapy. So you actually combine therapy and coaching, which is a nice approach.
Yeah. I did find that with a lot of my clients who wanted career changes, I found that they also had other habits or strategies that weren't serving them very well in the work. And those strategies were going to go with them. So I can help you change careers. I can do all the assessments. We can figure out what you want to do, but you're also taking those habits with you. So I also wanted to work on those pieces because a lot of our emotional roots, a lot of our psychology also contributes to our satisfaction in our careers.
Yeah, what I see with my clients also is that they've experienced a burnout in the past. So a lot of them actually have gone to therapy already before they start coaching with me, and some are still in therapy. Because with coaching, we can really work on your confidence and your self-belief and things. But with some people, it's so deeply rooted that they actually first need to do that therapy to sort of
it's true.
have a reset kind of thing.
And I'm glad you recognize that because I think that a lot of coaches don't. So how do you decide or how do you tell when someone's really ready to make the change or when they might need some more support before they're ready to work with you?
Yeah, I think already during the questionnaire, so before I have a sales call with them, sometimes you can see kind of red flags. Or even during the coaching, I've had once when I had a client like, it's really feeling so stuck and not being able to see further, not even be able to do the homework because they were feeling so overwhelmed and things like that. So I also had that, let's take a break, go see someone, and then, we can restart again. Because sometimes you really just need to speak to someone to be able to move forward in life.
Yeah, so true. So true. We all can use support at different times in our lives, right? So I always find it's a privilege to be a part of that journey somewhere.
100%. So I'll just quickly introduce myself also to your audience. So I'm a career coach and I help women who feel stuck in their job. Basically, they've been in the same job for many years. But, as people would change and one day, they come back to work. A lot of them have experienced a burnout also, but they come back to work or they've had kids, you know, and you change. You're a different person. You have different needs, different priorities. You want something else.
Yeah.
But what? And that's
Exactly.
such a big
That
question.
was,
What
yeah,
else can I do?
exactly where I got stuck.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's why they feel stuck and they can't move forward. So that's what I do a little bit different to a lot of other career coaches that I see online, that they're very much about getting the salary raise, nailing the job, getting the interview.
Mm-hmm.
But my approach is more, well, but is that salary raise really going to make you happy? Is that promotion really going to make you happy? Because if
Exactly.
now you're really not really feeling fulfilled, that's
Yep.
probably not going to make a difference. You need to figure out who you really are and what you
Mm-hmm.
really want, what you're really passionate about, and
Yeah. What
make
your
that
value?
change. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's so valuable because there's so many messages that we inhale from the culture around us that tell us our values should be the raise, the promotion, the cachet, whatever it is, right? But if that doesn't align with your personal values, it's never going to feel satisfying.
Yeah, and I think you need to also find your own version of success. What is success
Mm-hmm.
to you? Is it really getting that promotion, getting salary raise, or could it be different? Maybe just giving, adding more meaning, or giving back to society, or really helping other people. It can,
Yeah.
you know, that can also be super successful, even though you, yeah. But I have also a question for you, because yeah, you say you work with a lot of moms and dads,
Yeah.
and what do you see are like some of the biggest struggles they face when thinking about changing their career?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and we could talk specifically about ones that you run into, but I think it always boils down to fear, right? At this stage of life, when you have children, the stakes are so much higher now. You have little
Mm-hmm.
people depending on you, and so there's always this fear. And when we get afraid and our anxiety jumps in or our perfectionism jumps in, and we think we have to have the right answer right from the beginning. And that can really inhibit us taking a step forward because there's not necessarily a right answer. There are many good answers. I always say you could probably have 100 good careers. You just need to find one that fits this phase of life. And there's
Mm.
also, you can't predict every door that's going to open after you start, right? So you start on a path, and we know that luck is a reliable part of this process. We just don't know where it's going to show up. So also being open to shifting a little bit once you start. So I knew I wanted to be a coach and a therapist. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually know at the beginning that I wanted to be a career coach. That just happened to be an assignment to help somebody with a career. And I was like, la la la, like I love
Light bulb moment.
But I couldn't
Yeah.
have known that without trying it,
Mm.
right? I couldn't have known that without taking a step forward. I can't figure it out in my head. I have to feel it. I have to do it. And that's where the confidence comes.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to just try different things. So in my story, I knew that I was tired of sitting at the office and behind my desk from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 even, or 8 to 6, whatever.
Right.
And I just knew, okay, I wanted to do something outside of the office, but what, I don't know. And then I was speaking to a beautician. She's like, oh, this is a really cool job. It's like, okay, well, let me also study that.
Yeah.
But through doing that, and I did an internship and I was busy massaging the people and stuff. And I was thinking, I'm missing like something intellectual. I feel like I can do so much more. And that's when I started to also read personal development books and get into psychology and all that stuff. So, and that's what led me to becoming a career coach. But sometimes I feel like I needed that stepping stone. It's like, okay, so I was out of the corporate, but this was also not really it. So
Yeah.
I don't see it as like I failed at becoming a beautician
Right.
or what a disaster.
Yes.
It's like I love that I have that experience in my pocket, and it
Yeah.
was great, and it was a great experience, but it wasn't for me. But I've
Mm-hmm.
learned so much
Yeah.
also about starting a business, because I went in an internship with an entrepreneur who just started her business. So, you learn so many different things.
That's exactly it. And sometimes you have to try something that doesn't quite work to figure out what it is that's not working. Yeah, absolutely. It's all great experience.
And what do you feel like parents, how do they know that their job no longer fits their values and the kind of life that
Yeah,
they want? How can they tell?
that's a really good question. I spend a lot of time peeling that apart with people because like I said, sometimes we're bringing bad habits that are creating our burnout, right? And taking those to another job isn't going to fix it. So I always think if you like the people that you work with, right? If you're working in a pretty good environment, you've got pretty good communication skills and, you know, boundaries are not too big of a problem and you're still burnt out, that's a pretty good sign that something is misaligned because you've got a reasonably healthy approach. I mean, we're not a perfectly healthy environment, but a reasonably healthy environment. You have the ability, and a lot of parents do. A lot of adults are like, I actually can draw boundaries. I can tell people, I can negotiate when I have too much work. But if both of those pieces are in place and you're still burning out, there's probably something misaligned with the actual work itself.
It's funny how you also hear of so many people feeling burnt out, because I just feel like I'm just hearing it more and more and more. It's not really declining.
It's so pervasive. Yeah. Yep.
And how do you think working parents can set boundaries during this career change? Because yeah, it is, of course, it is a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I also find, I don't know if you do, but you can jump in and tell me if you do, but I find there's a couple of like, I call them black holes in this process too, right? Where we can get trapped researching and spinning our wheels researching forever. And if we never take a step forward, we can feel like we're busy. We can take all the assessments in the world. We can do all the research in the world, right?
But
if we never
taken many myself.
I know, I love them, right? I love assessments. They're great. So I could take them all day long. But we can also get stuck there. I also think even once we know kind of where we're headed, we can get stuck in a black hole of just applying online because it feels like we're being productive. Taking these assessments feels like we're being productive. Sending out these applications into the void feels like we're being productive. And we can really spend all of our time doing that with no boundaries. So I really like to we don't actually need to spend that much time, right? Set aside a half an hour twice a week or something to do some work, to really force yourself to prioritize and just do the highest value activities, right? And to take a step forward. Obviously, every family is going to work on that differently. Probably if you have kids at home, young kids at home need the support of a partner to give you some space to do that, especially while you're still working. But I like to say, give yourself a short amount of time. Don't spend too much time doing it, and force yourself to do the scary things that are actually going to move you forward.
Yeah, it's all about getting out the comfort zone and doing the things that really scare you. And actually, what I also just wanted to touch upon is, you know, because a lot of people, they feel guilty for making that career change, or feel guilty towards their kids.
Yeah.
But being stuck, being unhappy in your career, your kids notice this. They can see this. It's like it causes a ripple effect on the rest of your life. So you shouldn't actually feel guilty for wanting more, wanting something different, because in the end, when you are happier, your kids were happy, your partner will be happy. So it's actually not selfish. It's actually really a good thing when you prioritize your happiness in life, and you know, fill up your own cup and make yourself happy so that you can pour onto others.
Yeah, and your feelings about work, your attitude towards your job will translate to your children, right? So one of my most burnt out clients had parents who just thought work was terrible. That was the message that they gave all the work is terrible, work is terrible, work is terrible. We shouldn't have to work. So she grew up just with that belief that work is just a punishment to endure all day, every day. I think a lot of people too have some degree of emotional neglect in their childhood, and so it goes deeper, where they kind of learned that having needs was a burden, that they should prioritize themselves. And sometimes the guilt comes from that place, that having needs myself is selfish. I should sacrifice myself for the well-being of my family. So I love the reframe that you just started with, because it's so important to recognize that if I am happy, if I love my work, that's one of the best gifts I can give my children.
100%. And I'm glad that we're living in this day and age now that we can actually talk about our emotions and feelings, and that's okay, kind of thing, you know, because with our parents, we never spoke about those things at all.
I know. true. It's true. But kids know, right? They learn to speak their parents' body language long before they learn words. So they know what you're feeling, even if you don't say it. They
They know. They can feel.
they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, what do you, so say you have like your clients who want to make a change, but they don't know like kind of what do you advise them to do to kind of get an idea
Yeah.
working this out?
Yeah. I think, I already talked about like I needed more help. I think talking to people, I think asking for help is so important, especially so that you don't get trapped in those black holes of just spinning your wheels and thinking about it forever. I thought about it, I think, for like 15 years, like a really long time.
That's
I
a long
think
time, yeah.
it's so long. It's so long. And I talk to everybody about it. I mean, I have friends who just laugh because we spent every baseball game on the sideline of the field talking about what I was going to do next. What do I want to do? Maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. It's so helpful to have somebody with like a structured process to kind of walk you through figuring out what you want to do and who won't let you get stuck in those kind of black holes. I always start with strengths myself because we all come programmed with a negativity bias. We all know what our weaknesses are. If you've been, we're very aware of those. If you've been in any kind of unhealthy environment, then your confidence has taken a toll, right?
Yep.
If you're feeling torn between your values, like you're just not juggling it all well, your confidence has taken a toll, right? You're getting hit, 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 hit. So I really like to start by building that confidence back up so that we're looking at ourselves through a lens of strength and we make a lot of decisions from that place.
Yeah, I think it's really a lot about also mindset work to really change your mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, and really be like, okay, actually I can change, actually I can learn new skills, and
Yeah.
it doesn't all have to be like this for the rest of life. You learn, you grow, but
Right.
through taking action. You have to start taking action.
For sure.
I, for example, also have an example with one of my clients that she, in my, when she started my program, she was in engineering, like very boring job, like just working behind Excel.
Yeah.
And she had this idea, I want to become a vet.
Okay.
She's always had this sort of idea, but so then together we were like kind of really researching this, but also speaking to other people who are actually doing the job and asking them, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? But also speaking to the schools, what requirements, and actually through doing so much research and speaking to people, indeed, you have to do the research in your limits, not spend years and years researching and still not doing anything, but within a few months. And then she actually figured out, no, this is actually not what I want to do. And now she moved back to her home country and she started her own company doing Pilates, and she loves it. She absolutely loves it. So
yeah,
but you won't know until you do
that
research.
research is so important. It's so important. I thought originally that I wanted to be a marriage therapist, like couples counselor.
Wow.
So that's what I thought that I was going to do. But when I did the research and started talking to people and then actually did a few marriage therapy sessions, then I was like, nope. Sounds good. I love learning about relationships, but that's a whole lot of energy in one room to navigate, right? And it's too much for me, especially because I still wanted, if I was single and I didn't have any other kids, then maybe I could do it. But I still wanted energy for my family afterwards. And so it wasn't quite the right fit. I had to go back and refine my choice a little bit to find something that fit with the lifestyle that I wanted.
But at least you discovered and explored and saw, okay, what's working, what's not. With other people, they will just not do anything. And I've honestly had some sales skills with people who were also just so stuck that they just didn't see any possibility moving forward, so that never became clients. But that are the type of people who will one day wake up when they're like in their 60s, 70s and be like, oh, what if I did try? What if I did explore? And you don't want to live a life with regrets.
No, it makes me sad. And I think a lot of times those people who are so frozen like that probably have some trauma in there they need to resolve because their nervous system is completely stuck, right? They're in survival mode. It feels too threatening. It makes me sad. Yeah, I hope I can get some support.
You know what I always say? Like, what's the worst that can happen? And the worst that can happen is actually emotion. Because everything, we do everything in life in order to feel a certain way. And we try to avoid the negative emotions and we would just want the positives. But okay, the worst can happen, okay, that you fail or that you embarrass yourself in front of all the people. And you feel that feeling of embarrassment or shame or whatever. But if you can just process it and feel it and let it go, might not be that quick, but if you're able to feel those feelings, then you become quite powerful, because then whatever happens in your career change, if you can just navigate those emotions, you become a lot more powerful, because you know, okay, I can handle this because I've handled these kind of emotions before in the past.
Yes, I agree. Having confidence that you can feel and know what to do with difficult feelings is so empowering. So empowering. You're right.
And you know, I've heard also so many cool stories about people making a change. And I think on the one hand, you know, you don't have to, on the one hand, okay, so these people, what made them actually successful was they said failure was not an option. They had no money on the bank, or you know, they just had a little bit, but they're like, I have to make this business idea or this career change work, because otherwise I cannot pay the bills.
Right.
So because of that, there was so much on the line, they had to make it work, and they made it work. And I don't think this approach is for everyone, because some people, they're like, this is way too stressful. And so you need to kind of feel like, are you one of those risk takers that know that you will make it happen, whatever? And if not, then you can also, you don't have to quit your job immediately. You can first indeed do that research, see if you can maybe do an internship somewhere, or and make the move a bit more gradual and easygoing than making something completely drastic. But you need to know yourself on a deeper level to know what type of person am I, what would work best with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think oftentimes with parents, especially since that's who we're talking to today, most parents, I think, want a more gradual approach, because
100%,
security is a really strong value for most parents. And I think that's okay. Again, we're going back to that same idea. Just take some steps. It doesn't really matter how small. As long as you feel that you're moving forward, your confidence will continue to grow. It's just when you sit there and think about it and stay stuck in your head that your confidence shrinks. So you can take baby steps. That still counts, right?
Yeah, it's all about also, that voice inside your head, that you can just keep it positive.
Yeah.
You know, like you would speak to your best friend or your child or something, because we can sometimes be our own worst enemy, and by the things we say to ourselves, we actually stop ourselves from trying or seeing what else is out there.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to end it off. Maybe just one last question to you, for anyone who's, you know, currently feeling stuck, mom or dad. What's one small step they can take today towards a more fulfilling career?
Yeah, I think just noticing, right, what you're doing every day that gives you energy versus what eats your energy. And start, just because we tend to take those things for granted, and those are actually where we want to focus, you know, our efforts, as we want to pursue the things that give us energy. And sometimes that surprises us. You know, I've had really technical clients come and talk to me about all these technically involved things that they're doing, but they're missing the creativity, and the creativity is right. So how do we follow the creativity? How do we find more opportunities to be creative so that you create sort of a self-sustaining cycle with your work? I always say work is called work for a reason. It's always going to take energy, like it's work, right? But if we're following those things, those strengths that give us energy, it can create a self-sustaining cycle. So pay attention to that, and let's do more of those things.
Yeah, I keep like an energy journey, you know, and write down, okay, what's giving me energy, what's not, and then eventually you'll see like Yeah, and how on Dutch you say a red thread. You sort of see like, oh yes, okay, now I understand like what
Yeah,
maybe I should be doing more things in that, because that's something, that's really giving me energy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a really creative person. They have to have a career in the arts, although that could be fun, but there's creative problem solving, there's creative strategy, there's so many ways to use that. So just figuring out what those things are for you can change your whole approach.
Yeah, and I think that's really about getting to know yourself on that deeper level of really knowing, okay, but what really are my strengths? What really are my natural talents?
Yeah, which is what I know you spend a lot of time doing, is getting clients on a deeper level. That's
Yeah,
really important.
yeah.
Where do you like to start? What's the first thing that you like your clients to
Um,
focus on?
yeah, so basically I do a talent scan. It's like a personality test.
Mhm.
And that really shows, so they first have to fill it out online, and then I do it during the first coaching session, and it shows what gives energy, what drains their energy, and very interesting type of thing. So for example, I've also done the test,
Mhm.
and I always thought that I was like the best team player ever, but actually the test showed me that actually I don't really like working in teams. I am more being a coach, like I like to help people get further, but not necessarily work together on a project. But the reason why I thought I was such a good team player was because I was such a people pleaser, and I would just wanted to be liked, accepted, and fit in. So I was just always saying yes to everyone and keeping the
Mhm.
peace, and that was just more important to me than really reaching the goal. I just wanted like everybody to just
Sure.
be happy and just doing everything for everyone. So sometimes you think you know yourself, but
Yeah,
actually, it might be disguised by other
yeah,
things that are getting in
sure,
the way.
sure.
Yeah.
And that process of learning, just that process that you're talking about, can be so fulfilling to understand yourself better and to understand, put some pieces in your past together, why this affected me this way, why this affected me this way, and how I might want to change my approach in the future. So that's great. I love hearing that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, we don't really know who we are because we're so influenced by the people around us, by our families, our friends, and we, like in the prehistoric times, we want to belong to the tribe. We want to fit
Mhm.
in. Otherwise, in the olden days, you would be left behind and you die. So sometimes our image of ourselves is distorted. It's not really the truth.
Definitely. And we see it reflected, in my case, I'm always going to be 17 in my parents' eyes, right? Like I see my
Yes.
old self reflected in their eyes every time I interact with them. And it can take some practice to see our adult selves reflected.
Yes. And one more thing, what I also think is quite a big one actually. Just because you're good at something, it doesn't mean that it really suits you or it really gives you energy. And I think that's
Oh
where a
my
lot of people kind of go wrong because they
God.
have been doing the same thing for years and
Mhm.
they're so good at it and everybody's giving them shoulder or pat on the back.
Yeah.
You're doing such a good job. And
Yeah.
therefore they like, well, okay, I'm so good at this, let me just stay this. But
Mhm.
actually draining their energy.
Sure. Yeah, that's the big difference between skills and strengths, right? Like skills you're good at, but they take
Mm.
energy. Strengths give
Yeah.
energy. And it can be tricky to figure out how to make that shift when you still want security and you still want a paycheck. But there are ways to do it. That doesn't mean you have to stay stuck in a job that only uses skills.
So many possibilities out there. So yeah, I think like to end off with that note, that's really go explore, go see what else is out there.
Yeah.
Don't stay stuck. Don't
Right.
stay feeling miserable.
Yeah.
Life is too short for that.
Too short. And you've only got one. Go do it. Go do
Yeah.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yes,
Yes.
it was such a pleasure. We appreciate the invitation.
Ah, have a wonderful day, and thanks everybody else for watching. And till next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.